Hello, welcome to the Peaceful Woodturner. I have here a piece of somebody's holiday tree, somebody's Christmas tree. I don't know exactly what kind of evergreen it was. You know, the popular ones are certain kinds of firs and spruces and things like that. So, you know, everybody thinks when it's pine trees, it's something in that family. As you can see, they were very good and cut off the end and drilled a hole so that it could get water up into it. And as you know, if you've ever had a Christmas tree, that doesn't keep them from drying out, and they dry out pretty quick. So what I did last year around Christmas time is I went around after people had gotten rid of their trees, so I guess really the beginning of this year, and I just started collecting up the biggest pieces I could find. And my idea is simply to use old Christmas trees to make new Christmas decorations, things like snowmen and little Christmas trees and even ornaments. I've got another piece of one right here. This was a smaller piece, obviously. I painted the ends just to help them dry out a little more slowly. This has gone from being, you know, kind of a hardy, hefty piece of wood down to being almost light as air. It feels like just a great big marshmallow. And I painted the end on this one, obviously, also. It looks like it's got a crack, but I think that's just in the bark, just from looking at the ends. I'm going to have to be careful, though, and just double check that. And I'm just going to take this and cut it down into some more manageable sizes, and I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting. I want to try to make a snowman, I want to try to make a Christmas tree, and I want to see what I can do about making a nice ornament out of this. So we'll see how it works out. I'm going to start breaking it down, getting all these pieces off of it, and then we'll get it on the lathe. So I moved to a more stable work surface, i.e. the floor, and got all of these bits and pieces off. So things are going to be a little bit safer now. Next thing to do is to actually cut this into some workable pieces, trim off some of the excess, and then I can be able to start turning it around and actually working on it. So I cut these down with my Sawzall. It's pretty much the safest tool to use for it. Chainsaw would work well too. All I'm going to do now is just trim off some of these excess little bits, and I'm going to get these on the lathe. I think we're going to have probably an ornament and a snowman and a tree. This is the second piece I'm working with. I made my ornament earlier and had all sorts of problems with that. Check out that video for all the success and all the fail, mostly fail. But now I'm going to work on trying to make a snowman out of this middle piece. I've taken off a lot of loose stuff. It looks like there's a bunch of loose on here now, but actually most of this is pretty secure. So I'm going to start turning it off using my roughing gouge, and I'm going to be going about 680 RPM. Okay, I've got it switched around into the chuck, and there is this crack running along the length. A little one over here too, but you can see that they don't come into the end really. So they're just kind of superficial along there as far as I could tell. They may go deeper. I did have some problems with flaws in the other piece, so we'll see how this goes. All I'm going to do is start trying to shape this. I should be able to do it all with the skew. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to or not, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, I've got some little bits from the skew that are sticking in these edges here. I'm going to be able to get those off with sandpaper. I've got a little bit of tear out and stuff up here on the hat. I don't like that, but I keep fighting with it and I'm just kind of failing. So for now, with this one, I'm just going to sand it all down and hopefully I'll be better on the next one. So my speed's a lot slower now. I'm at 500 RPM. And I'm going to start off with a relatively aggressive sandpaper because of all these little nicks and stuff. Kind of already has a face on here. Not a good one though. I'll have to draw a better one on. I'm going to do a couple more rounds of sandpaper with finer grits, and I'll put the face on and then put some finish on, part them off. Alright, it's really smooth. Finer grits. You saw I buffed at the end with just some chips. There's neat color and stuff in it. I don't want to lose that color. I don't want to lose those changes. I want the hat to be a bit different from the rest, but I kind of like to keep these parts here still showing. I think I'm going to make this the front. My big problem is I've got what looks like a buckle right there on the front of the hat, and I've got this weird kind of deformed face. So I might just leave him as a kind of goofy faced little guy. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to darken the hat and the brim, leaving the band, and then I'm just going to put a nice little beeswax finish on it, just enough to give him some color, bring out his grain. So this is a charcoal stain. I'm just applying it with a bandage actually. I find these work really well for putting on a finish. Tricky part's going to be trying to not get where my hat band is. Interesting. It doesn't want to soak in certain spots. It's kind of the idea of stain, right? up the hat band afterwards. The one thing I like about using this stain and these materials is that I can usually get it to set and dry pretty quickly with just a little bit of friction. So I got a nice clean paper towel. Good. Alright, now I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. This is my beeswax linseed oil stick. It usually gets some nice color going, so I'm just going to put that on with a little bit of friction.